Okay, let's be real. We all have an ego. And here's the thing though, we can't run from it, we can't kill it, it can't die. Even if you hear that term, ego death, ego death, you can't ever get rid of the ego. Because what the ego was created for is to make up the physicality of who you are, the personality, the avatar, the vessel. And this is why in astrology, the ego represents the sun, is because of the expression of what makes up your being on the outside. But here is the thing. We've been using the ego in such a toxic way to the point that EGO, we've been edging God out. And I know this may sound crazy, and I know this may sound like, oh, that's pretty cool, that rhymes. Well, in today's video, we're going to dive into understanding why we edge God out, and we need to understand the purpose behind the ego, because there's nothing wrong with having an ego, but there's everything wrong with thinking that there's something wrong with it when it makes up who you are. What is Gooch Gooch, you beautiful beings? Welcome back, AwakenOnes, on another episode on embracing the central. Oh my god. I got so excited. I got saliva on my lips. Anywho, what was I at? Anywho, welcome back on another episode of Embracing the Ascension series with your homegirl, Brittany Fontanez. If you're new to this channel, I am an intuitive shaman healer. I'm a psychic tarot reader. On this channel, I speak about... Maybe I'm a little too excited. My ego's all over it. Yo, we're in Leo full moon today, baby. And I'm... And the crazy thing is, my moon's in Leo, so my ego is really on point today. But this is why this video is so perfect. But before we get into the video today, on this channel I speak about spiritual development, emotional awareness, and I do guided readings for each zodiac sign. And I talk about things I feel need to be talked about because our divine right to know more than what we've been told. And if you want to know all about me and my business inquiries, all that information is down in the description box below. And I just channeled. Some of you guys want to know my sun sign. I'm a Capricorn. Capricorn sun, Leo moon, Libra rising. I know, interesting. But we're all fucking interesting. And we all gotta understand that there's a part of us that is very complex. There's a part of us that actually is used and manipulated. And what is manipulated? The ego. And you may be saying, how is that manipulated? Well, here's the thing. We all know that we have such an inflated part about ourselves. Well, we come off too direct, or we come off too cocky, or you just know yourself. And then people will say, well, that's very egotistical, or you're egoic, you're all about the physical, the tangible, the money, the this and that. I'm a Capricorn, so I hear this shit all the time. But this is why I really want to share this video with you, because it's gotten to the point where we shame ourselves, we shun ourselves. The ego is the shadow part of ourself. And I know, even I said in the beginning, in astrology, the ego represents the sun, the expression of the physical vessel. And you might be saying, but how is the shadow side of yourself? Think about it this way. Think about it this way. Think about it this way. So the moon, and it comes out at dark. But the moon, meaning the night, the darkness, actually illuminates what's been in it, while as the sun, the light, actually has some distortion within it as well. But it all intertwines to make up the ebbs and flow of the entire universe. What makes up our light, our dark, our ego, and our higher self. So it's all intertwined with one. But here's the thing. When I mean the ego has been manipulated, is because, let's be real, we gotta get real. People who actually rule the system, who rule the way that we call life today, knows about the ego, and knows that when you can twist the opposing force of the ego, we can use it in such a toxic manner. And I really want to emphasize this today, because I'm going to talk a little bit about religion. I am. I've been to church all my life. I've been forced to church. I will never forget those mornings. My mom would yell at me, with like, 1, 2, 3, get ready. And all of a sudden she was the last one to get ready. And then on our way to church, she's so mean. But the entire week she was so nice. I'm like... it was very complex to me. And even, going through the process of it all, it didn't make any sense to me. And it makes sense why I'm on my spiritual path today. But the reason why I want to get into religion is because this is the way they have twisted some things. And you may not like what I gotta hear, you may unsubscribe, but listen, I'm just gonna come from my heart, because I know there are people that resonate with this. And you might feel like you're the only one who thinks this way, but I'm here to share with you, you probably aren't. And well, let's be real honest, you aren't actually. There's a lot of people who think that we have used the ego in such a toxic manner, to the point there's nothing but toxic masculinity. And I'm not talking about men. We all have feminine and masculine energy within us. The feminine represents the nurturing side, and the masculine represents the assertive side. So we all have these energies intertwined within us. But this world has been so consumed by the toxic masculine, to the point the suppression of the nurturing, of the caring, of the vulnerability, of the love is actually so suppressed and repressed, that this is why a lot of people have troubles being vulnerable, but they express who they are through their tangible things, through their labels, through their categories, through their job, through their relationship. You get what I'm saying? So the reason why I'm intertwining religion into this is because I will never forget when I got introduced to the Ankh. And I will never forget when I first got introduced to the cross. You see the totally two difference. You see the loop of the Ankh, and then you see the straightforward of the cross. Well, the cross itself, to me, was representing the masculine, to the point that we live in a world where the masculine thinks they rule everything. I'm not coming for you, men. I'm just talking about this energy. To the point that we block out our hearts because we're so logical. We're so in the mind. And the mind is not made for us to love. It is made for us to fear. It is made for protection. It is made for assertiveness. It is made for structure. It's not made for spontaneity. It's not made for us to actually learn to be open. It's here just to be an idea. It's here just to be a catalyst for ideas, while the heart actually is meant to be the assertiveness, the place where we actually are following our intuition, following our truth. And the reason why I'm sharing both these sides, both these crosses, is because we have made ourselves believe that this is what life is all about. It's all about, rushing, forcing, creating. The ego never gets tired. It never gets tired, to the point that you can accomplish so many things, get so many things done, but it's never enough. The ego is never satisfied. And the reason why I'm saying this is because that's the toxic masculinity. It's never satisfied, because it's always wanting more. And I'm here to share with you is that the Ankh actually represents the masculine and the feminine. Meaning the loop represents the womb, the opening. Hence as the woman, her little vajayjay. And then you have the actual stick, which represents the masculine. You know what I mean? And they both actually create life. And I'm not just talking about physical life. I'm talking about the masculine and the feminine within you. It makes up your being. It makes up life. It makes up light. It makes up darkness. It makes up beauty. It makes up everything. Boom. Stay in this yard, sir. Stay in this yard. Talking to her cat. He's a goofball, but I'm gonna watch him. But anywho, so those are my perspectives of these symbols and how they really represent so much of this life. And if you're wondering where the Ankh comes from, it comes from ancient Egypt, where Isis actually used it a lot in her rituals to heal people. So, I share this with you because I want you to understand, there's a lot of corruption in this world. We can't hide the fact that there's a lot of fucked up shit in this world. And it's because we're too in our mind, we're too consumed, we're too fucking selfish. But that's not the point of the ego. The point of the ego is to understand that it's trying to teach us the shadow aspects of who we are. And there's nothing wrong with the shadow aspects of who we are. meaning that there's nothing wrong with the shame, with the guilt, with the sadness, with the invulnerability, with emotional unavailability. There's nothing wrong with the part of ourselves we deem unworthy. Because the whole point of the ego is to actually protect us, to actually, like I said, create ideas, to help us gain discipline, to help actually be diligent in our life and what we're creating and who we're allowing ourselves to show up as. The ego is really here to help you illuminate the parts of yourself that actually bring more power out of you, but in a healthy way, not a toxic way. Because like I said, the ego can never get enough, and it will always crave more. And the ego is of the mind. But this is what happens when we get so caught up in the more, in the want, in the desire, when want actually stems from lack. Yes, want stems from lack. So you may be wondering, how is the ego edging God out? It's because we have actually lost our way of understanding that there's more to life than the tangible. There's more to life than the more. There's more to life than the categories. There's more to the life than the label that you put on yourself and the identifications and the false beliefs that you have created to create this false identity that's not who you are. And when we actually do this, when we get so engulfed in the ego, we edge God out because we believe that we are unworthy. We believe there's no love. We believe that we have to fear. And here's the thing. Everyone thinks God is an old man with a beard on a throne, up in the heavens, up above the clouds, and, judging us from below, feeling so jealous, feeling so angry. No, that's human beings, man. That's what we made up with our ego. I never met God physically, but I know in my heart there's too much love in this world. Look at these trees, man. Look at the water. This grass I'm standing on right now, my bare feet. Oh my God, it feels fucking phenomenal. I'm not gonna lie. But there's too much love to fear. There's too much goodness to think nothing good can't happen to you. There's too much abundance for you to believe in lack. You have more than enough than for you to believe that you need to crave more outside of you to make you feel that you're enough, to make you feel whole and complete. We edge God out with our ego by forgetting the fact that we're more than these perceptions and these beliefs that we were told. And here's the thing, I know, I'm not gonna lie to you, I am a little upset on how the world is structured, but there's a reason for it. There's a reason why this world is structured the way that it is. It's because we are meant to see the parts of ourself that the world says we need to hide, when we need to actually show it, because it's who we really are. If you know your power, if you know your potential, but you know your flaws and your insecurities, you're meant to own that. You're meant to express that. The ego actually helps the higher self, and the higher self actually helps the ego. It intertwines to make up you, to understand you, to be curious about you, to create this reality that only you can create. So, in ways of understanding how to use your ego in a healthy manner, use it in a way where you're not trying to gain anything out the world, but you're trying to understand the world and yourself. We're not in a time anymore where we can edge God out. Because here's the thing. God is where love is. God is where peace is. God is within us, the temple. But a lot of us don't feel comfortable within our bodies. This is why we run out in relationships and using substances and using different forms of tactics to bypass and escape. And if you haven't watched my recent video, 7 Signs of Escapism, please go watch that. I'll leave it at the end of this video. It explains how we escape ourselves. When we do this, we're abandoning the temple. We're abandoning God that lives within our hearts, the love that already resides within us. And when we're always up in here, we're abandoning this. meaning that we're not being ruled out of love, we're being ruled out of fear. And that's how we edge God out, is by choosing fear, by choosing worry. And I know you may say, but Britt, I'm worried about money, I'm worried about my bills, I'm worried how I pay my rent, I'm worried if I leave my job for this business it would never work out. I'm here to share with you, that's the whole point of the ego, is to help you. That's what I said, the higher self helps the ego, and the ego helps the higher self. The higher self, the ego, helps you recognize the patterns that you need to break, the falsity that is no longer true, and to transform them in a way where you actually start to see how good the world is, but not in a way where you're like bypassing your bullshit. Because be real, we have a tendency to bypass bullshit with our positivity and our happiness and our smiles. But let's be real, underneath the surface, you want to punch a bitch. Be honest, you want to punch a bitch. Sometimes I want to punch a bitch. Today I actually wanted to punch a lot of shit, you know? But this is the way you honor this part of yourself. The ego is meant to help you see the triggers, see the beliefs that you have formed that aren't yours. But when you start to get engulfed in it to the point that you're using it to exert things outside of you to make you whole, that's how you edge God out. Because you're not recognizing the love within you is already meant to fulfill you. It's already meant here to guide you, to bring you clarity, to bring you truth, to help you. So the way to stop edging God out is start feeling into your heart. Start living by your heart. Start being vulnerable. Start being honest. Start being open. Start being your authentic self. And that takes courage to be our authentic self, because we're told you gotta get a job, you gotta do this, you gotta act this way, you gotta act fake towards people who think they're perfectionists, but really inside they're like shit, they can't even fucking hold it together. So really this is about you using your ego in a way to recognize what is not true, to recognize that fear, to recognize the resistance that is holding you back from your truth. And this is the way we edge God out. And the reason why we edge God out is because we were taught, we believe that you know, wanting more is part of the process of the journey of the success. But really the ego is really here to teach you what is your authentic way of expression, of success, of truth, of love. That's the beauty behind it. And little do you know, when you start using your ego to help you recognize these parts of yourself that feel disaligned, then you will never edge God out, because you start to learn that true fulfillment comes from recognizing the parts of yourself that you deem broken and unworthy, and start fulfilling those cracks of your heart to the point that boom, boom, we learn how to have breakthroughs. And you learn to recognize, it's okay to not be perfect. Because here's the thing, if God wanted us to be perfect, we wouldn't have the ability to make mistakes. So the fact that we have the ability to make mistakes and learn from them and create, I mean, that right there just shows how the ego could trap us, but how it can assist us to grow. So if we're allowed all these opportunities to learn, to restructure, to create, to learn, to restructure, to create, then why not use the ego as an opportunity to recognize parts of yourself that you know aren't true, and you might as well change them and to create a beautiful, better story in a chapter. And I actually want to share with you guys as well, there is a such thing as a spiritual ego. So please be mindful of that, because we have a lot of people who get into the spiritual community and do all these rituals and do all these things, but their intentions are not pure. And that is the spiritual ego, to the point that you think you know better than everyone else because everyone else is asleep. That is so egotistical. But the way they use the ego, even in spirituality, is by shadow work. Distorted beliefs, recognizing and taking accountability for your faults. That's the way you can use the ego in such a healthy way. So, you guys, I don't want to keep you here too long, because I want to enjoy my day as well. So, you guys, that was my perspective of the ego, of how we've been ruled by it, how we edge God out, the reason why we do that. And I hope that the clarity, whatever I said, has brought you clarity, has brought you more understanding, has brought you a sense of awareness to see that there's nothing wrong with this part of you of understanding that you know your power, but you also recognize that there's nothing wrong with feeling powerless as well, because you're still learning you. You're still trying to understand this being that God made you to be. So there's nothing wrong with these parts of you, and I hope that this video has helped assist you to recognize that it's okay. Because here's the thing, the ego is here to protect you, the ego is here to set boundaries, but the beautiful thing, the ego is here to tell you, to help you recognize that there's something about you so unique that can never be recreated. So you might as well own what God has given you, but learn how to include God in the picture by being grateful, by being thankful, by enjoying the journey, by taking the fucking lessons and making yourself a better being. So other than that, beautiful beings, I hope you got some activation, some clarity. If you want to dive more into the ego and shadow work and understanding parts of yourself that are in the dark, then go down in the description box below and book your appointment with me here today. And also, if you actually want to book your own personal reading, I actually do shadow work readings as well, which is really, really dope. I have a lot of testimonials on that on my website about the shadow work reading, so go check that out if it's something for you. You know where homegirl's information's at. But if you really enjoyed this video and it really brought you a lot of insight, please hit that like button, subscribe to this channel, and hit that notification button. I'm gonna be real honest, I'm being a little egotistical right now. I do not like how my hair looked in this video today, but I showed up because I am dedicated to assist you on your spiritual journey, so thank you for trusting me on it. But other than that, you beautiful beings, I love you guys so much. Please enjoy your day, get some vitamin D, take care of your body, but also recognize your worth and also do the inner work, because you're actually assisting the collective and becoming the example of what true unconditional love is for self and for the world. But until then, you beautiful beings, I'll see you on the next one, and only love. Namaste.